All right, so the biggest story here that we're going to talk about is the Supreme Court deciding to accept a massive country-altering case on abortion. They haven't ruled on it yet. They haven't heard the case yet. They just decided to accept it, which in and of itself is a big deal because you need a certain number of judges to even decide to accept the case. So they're probably going to rule on the pro-life side, right? But before we give the details on that, because that decision is not going to come until sometime around the end of the year, the other decision I want to talk about here, they did make a decision, a 9-0 unanimous decision on a Second Amendment case. That's important because it shows how extreme the Biden administration is. So let's start with that one here. So this case is called Caniglia versus Strom. So Edward Caniglia and his wife, they got in a heated argument, a marital spat. And Edward gave her a gun and told her to shoot me now. All right, so the guy gave the wife a gun, said, shoot me now. She left. She went to go stay in a hotel. She called police to go back to their house the next morning, right? So she was worried that he committed suicide and she wanted someone to escort her to the house. So the officer went and he was there and the officer said that, Edward, you need to go to a hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. He agreed to that and he just went off and went to the hospital. As he was in the hospital, police took 2 guns from his house. They just confiscated 2 guns. He came back home from the hospital and he wanted his guns back. This was in Rhode Island. And the government of Rhode Island, or the police force, said, no, you can't have them back. So he sued, saying that his firearms were seized without his consent, violating not only his Second Amendment rights, but also his Fourth Amendment rights. The Fourth Amendment protects you against unreasonable searches, and in this case, seizures. So the question is, what is reasonable or unreasonable for the government to take your guns from you? What's a reasonable seizure, or was this an unreasonable seizure? That was the question before the court. The argument from the Biden administration, from the left, is that police are allowed to search your car. And this is, we don't call this a seizure. We call this community caretaking. That's all. It's just some community caretaking. And if we can do that in your car, then we can also apply that to your home. So are you with me? So the Biden administration, in an effort to take away your guns and have complete control over the ownership of your firearms, they argued in front of the Supreme Court that it is reasonable that with no warrant and no probable cause to take your guns from your home and not give them back. They argued that that was reasonable. Now, maybe you agree with that. Maybe you think that is reasonable. I'm here to tell you that the Supreme Court ruled 9-0 that it's not. The Supreme Court was unanimous that no, the government cannot seize things from your home without a warrant, even guns. This is Clarence Thomas in the decision. The very core of the Fourth Amendment's guarantee is the right of a person to retreat into his or her home and there be free from unreasonable government intrusion. The other justices go on and say that the government, just because you created this thing called community caretaking, that doesn't give you the right to violate the Fourth Amendment rights of citizens. This is a wonderful victory for liberty. And 9-0, very impressive, worthy of celebration. I feel like we don't celebrate enough things on this show that are happening in our country. This is a wonderful thing worthy of a celebration. Concerning that the Biden administration and the Democrats on this issue are so out of touch with the Constitution that they would argue for this, as they were rebuked by the Supreme Court 9-0, that they would still even try to make these arguments, but alas. I mean, think about this. Even like Justice Sotomayor was like, no, guys, no. You're very wrong.
Wow. That was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like,
Subscribe. Get more.